God's country right here on the Cinnabar. Today we're going to be talking about the long and the short of it, specifically Winchester barrels. We're going to be shooting this 1892 saddle ring carbine trapper with a 14-inch barrel and this ultra rare 1895 with a 32-inch barrel. So stick around while we get set up, because this is going to be a kick in the pants. Okay, so let's take a look at these guns we're going to be shooting today. I've got them propped up here on my Winchester Arms Collectors Association gun socks. Try to keep the glare off of the receivers for you. Hope that works. But anyway, this bottom one, this is a 14-inch 4440 trapper carbine, or what Winchester would call a baby carbine. Now they're basically just a standard carbine with under a 20-inch barrel. 20 inches was, of course, the standard length for their 1892 carbines. There were some in rifle configuration with short barrels like that, but we'd just call those short rifles. And this 1895 is really unusual with an extra length barrel. There are very few of them made. This one's also got some special order sights that letter from the Cody Firearms Museum in Wyoming. This sporting leaf rear sight is really unusual on a 95. They were very common on 1876s and even on 1886s, and some of the other models had them as well. But on 95s there are very, very few of them out there. And then this one has a globe front sight that letters as well. So this one was really set up for long-range shooting. Now what makes these extra length barrels really unusual on 95s is that they were only available on the two least common calibers, the black powder cartridges of 3872, which this one is, and 4072. So there are very few of those guns out there, and even very less of them with extra length barrels. And the 32-inch barrel 1895s in the factory record, they only show 19 of them. So, you know, who knows how many have survived all these years. So this is one of only a handful of 32-inch barreled 1895s, and really looking forward to shooting it today. Okay, so as you might imagine, we don't shoot these guns a lot, so I'm set up here to put a couple rounds on paper just to see where they're shooting before we start doing some shooting in earnest. But a couple things caught my eye when I was getting set up here. First of all, I set this 95 in the lead sled here, and then I kind of looked at this trapper carbine, and if you look there, the whole length of this gun is the same length as just the barrel on the other. The other thing that caught my eye is with this long-barreled 95, it fits in this lead sled really well. Other long-barreled Winchesters that I've put in this have been real front-heavy, particularly when they're loaded with cartridges, and of course the magazine tube underneath on other models, and they've actually tipped forward out of the thing. But the balance on a 95 stays virtually the same because the cartridges are loaded right down here, and when you're carrying it, you're going to carry right in this area. So the balance on a 95 changes very little, and of course those with a tubular magazine under the barrel, it can change quite a little bit. Okay, so let's take a shot with each of them and just see where they're at. I think I've got all my equipment here, safety equipment, and some rounds here to put in them. We'll just single load one in each. Okay, there we go. So we've got earplugs and safety glasses, and got some binoculars. In this instance, usually I use them to see the target down there, to see where I'm shooting, but today I might need them just to see that front sight all the way out there. With my aging eyes, I need all the help I can get. Okay, let's try this 95 first. Oh, it packs a little punch. Okay, so let's see what this little trapper carbine will do. Hopefully it's long enough to fit in the lead sled. Oh yeah, just barely. Nice thing today, we can't get cartridges mixed up. There's a vast difference. Okay, I'll go see where those hit and we'll be right back. Okay, so let's talk about this trapper carbine first. And what distinguishes a carbine from a trapper carbine is simply the barrel length. A standard saddle ring carbine comes with a 20-inch barrel. If it's under 20 inches, it's considered a trapper. Now, trapper is not a Winchester term. That's a collector's term that's kind of conjured up these romantic versions of old grizzled guys out there on their trap line packing these around because they are handy. You can put them in your pack and whatnot. The reality is probably very few of these ever saw action on trap lines, and it has less to do with the gun itself, the configuration, as it does with the caliber. And this one in 4440 would be a horrible choice on a trap line. And I've spent a fair amount of time on trap lines, and I tell you, most trappers actually pack a 22 because it does a lot less damage. Now, they might have a backup handgun of some sort for who knows what might come up, but these wouldn't have spent much time out there. Okay, so they came in lengths from 12 inches, and there was very few 12 inches made, to 19 inches. So, and 1 inch increments in between. Now, some of them are quite rare, like a 17 inch or a 18 inch. 16 inch is very common. Anything under 16 inches since 1934 has been illegal. The National Firearms Act of 1934 made anything with a barrel under 16 inches, rifle or shotgun anyway, illegal. So this one is only legal because the ones that were already produced at that time were grandfathered in. And so this one, of course, has a factory letter. It's one of the earlier ones. A lot of them aren't in a range that's letterable, so what has to be done is, well, any of them have to be sent to ATF if they already haven't been excluded from the National Firearms Act and called curio and relics. So this one's really easy because it had a factory letter. But a lot of them, there are some out there that you really got to watch it because it's pretty easy to fake a trapper, although people who know what they're looking for can pick them out pretty easily. So let's take a couple shots with this one. See how it performs, or maybe more accurately how I perform. The action's a little tight on this one. Uh-oh, missed that one. There, we got a hole in it. Okay, let's see if we can hit some steel. There we go. Okay, so these little guns are just great. They're great fun to shoot. Most of them, actually, rather than being used on trap lines, were sent south of the border and were used in Central and South America. And a lot of them were used by law enforcement. Now, if you think about law enforcement action, you can think where having something fairly small and maneuverable would be pretty handy, because most encounters that law enforcement have are close range. Of course, we know that there are the occasional time when long range shooting would be called for, or a sniper would be called for, but that's pretty unusual. Most often, back in the day, this would have been a whole lot handier. Okay, so let's go ahead and take a look at this 95 real quick. Now this is a rifle that I would think was set up for long range. If Matthew Quigley wanted to shoot a 95 with this type of sight set up and this long barrel, that's the kind of gun that would be right up his alley. Okay, so today we're going to shoot a few rounds. I only have a few. Unfortunately, I loaded up some 3872 last night, and the only bullets I had were 377, and that's the nominal size of a 3872's bore. But like most 38 calibers, it seems like the 3855s and some of the others, it takes a little larger bullet to stabilize. And so what I was finding with these 377 diameter bullets and gas checks that I was shooting, it wasn't stabilizing the bullet very well. And so I have some 379 just lead cast bullets, and they stabilize pretty well, but I've only got a few of them. So we'll just take a few shots with it here. Now, if any of you have ever loaded a 95, well, there's that one we shot earlier on. The 95 is a little bit different to load, particularly the ones with the rimmed case like these. You stick them down straight in like this, and then kind of rotate them down in place. We'll put 4 in here, and sometimes they're a little stiff to get down in there. Maybe I'll push that one down. And of course, when I'm on camera, it makes it way harder. There it goes. Just being finicky. You'd think I'd loaded enough 95s, I ought to be able to load one. But when the camera comes on, all bets are off. Okay, so let's shoot this old girl. This is fun. I have to admit, this is the first time I've ever shot this gun. I haven't had it for, I've had it a couple of years now, and just never had the notion to shoot it before. Let's get that set up there properly. There we go. Okay, let's see if we can't hit one of those jugs. Oh, that did the number. Uh-oh. This brass that I'm using here, it doesn't eject very well. What it is it's reformed 44 or 444 Marlin, and they've got just a little bit smaller diameter rim than a standard 3872, so I'm having a little trouble with them ejecting. If I'm going to shoot this gun much, I'm going to have to do a little work on loads and whatnot. Let's see what it does with steel. Hey, it does a number. Oh, that's a fun gun to shoot. I'm going to have to do a little work on it, see if I can't get it feeding right and get some ammunition worked up for it. And maybe we'll bring it back out one of these days and do some shooting with it again when it's functioning properly. Okay, so these 14-inch Trapper carbines hold 8 rounds. I think we used 4 up, so it's about time to use those other 4 up, don't you think? Doing the number. Okay. Boy, that's a lot of fun to shoot. That little tiny sight radius, you can just swing, you know, if I was in a running gunfight, up close, this would be the gun. Now, one of the things that's kind of absurd to me is I talked a little bit about how these are now illegal to produce rifles under 14-inch barrels. This being 4440, and the reason that they do that is because, or in 1934, they believed that they were easy to conceal, that criminals could conceal them easy enough. But then, same caliber 4440, this is perfectly legal. Now, if I was a criminal and I wanted to conceal a 4440 firearm, what do you think I would choose? It's just completely nonsensical. I think it was one of those feel-good laws. Unfortunately, in this day and age, even a nonsensical firearms law is not going to be loosened up any. It's just politically incorrect, I guess you would say. Okay, so I've got a couple of more rounds of this 3872. I put a jug way out there, and we're going to see if maybe we can't do a little long-range shooting with it. I think I'll just load these individually until I can get that issue solved with it feeding. Okay, we got a blue jug way up there on a stump up on the hill. Oh, right up above it. It was shooting a little high, and I've got it down all the way, so I'm going to have to make a little adjustment here. There we go. It's a long-range shooter. That's just a fun gun to shoot. What a blast. Okay, well this has been great fun. A couple of guns have been sitting way back in the safe, and I've never shot this long barrel gun before, and very rarely have I shot this 4440 Trapper here, so this has been great fun for me. If you enjoy these videos, please hit the like button on YouTube, you know, comment, subscribe to the channel. It really helps me out to show YouTube that the channel is popular and it's worth promoting. Well, I sure appreciate you joining us today. Until next time, happy trails from the Cinnabar.